Red Dreaded Entertainment, what is up? My name is Akasan.
What's up, Super Crew? My name is DCsan.
And I'm Callie with World of Callie.
And we have just finished a super reaction, a full reaction actually, to the death of Superman. This was an animated film. We just got a special private screening. We had, the three of us, compliments of Warner Brothers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
That was fun.
And so we just got finished watching it right now. We just wanted to go ahead and talk about it and let you guys know what our impressions are on this feature and if you should check this out. So, Death of Superman, of course,
Yes.
very controversial type of story. And not even, well, I guess at the time that it came out like 30 years ago, very controversial story, killing off one of the greatest superheroes in comics history, sparking to what many would say, quite frankly, the death of death. But that's a whole nother story for another day, because we're not at that point right now. They actually have redone the story a few years ago, but never within the New 52 sort of storyline that the DCAU is working with.
DCE.
Is that what? No, not the is it called the?
You mean the animated
DC
universe?
Animated Universe?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, DCAU. Yeah. So, what were your guys' impressions of this story, feature, everything? Yeah, that's actually a better idea, Callie, from someone who's actually never seen this story.
She's
being
never
told.
seen the original one or read the original book and or follow-up series to it. So, what was your impression?
Well, I have watched previous DC animated films, and I do love how they handle all the storylines with so much maturity and execution. All of them are so wonderful, and I was like really happy, so emotionally touched, because this movie is actually better. You've said it multiple times, it's better than the movie.
Justice League,
Yeah,
the live-action film.
yes,
No, very true, very true.
yes.
So you're saying pacing, basically, right?
Pacing, dialogue, character introduction, story, everything. And you don't see it as like an animated movie, you see it just as a movie. Like you appreciate it. And even though I'm not familiar with so many of the characters like you guys are, I still felt attached to them. When they're going through some struggles. So yeah, and of course the very ending scene, that was very deep or heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was. DCsan?
Well, being a fan from childhood of many different properties within the DC universe, I liked the writing. The pacing for it was fantastic. I do think that some of the story writing for the animated series and how the characters interact with each other would be interesting to see transfer into live action. Because I think it would do well with a general audience for people who don't know the characters. But going on this feature by itself, I enjoyed it from start to finish. There were parts of it that made me laugh, parts of it that made me feel like I was going to cry, which is actually hard to do because if the writing isn't strong enough, you're not going to feel it, let alone show it. I enjoyed it a lot. Unfortunately, it was short.
Really? You felt like it was short?
Because
I felt like it was long.
No, because now I know that there's a follow-up to it. So for me, it feels like it's short because I want to see what the ending part of this massive story is going to be.
I see. Yeah, for me, it was going on almost an hour. It was an hour and 20 minutes.
21 minutes.
I personally thought that was, like, at times, it felt long. Not boring long, but just enough that I was like, okay, I'm kind of getting my feel of it. It was starting to peak into Man of Steel zone. And what I say by that is the fact that the fight scene started to go on a little too long with Superman and Doomsday. But at the same time, I also realized that that's supposed to be, like, the whole story of Death of Superman and that fight scene with him and Doomsday, it's supposed to be like a drawn-out battle.
Yes,
like, it's supposed to be his last breath. So I thought they handled it pretty well, but at the same time, when you have too much action without a lot of dialogue, like Man of Steel, it starts to bore me a lot.
I thought it was great the way that they did it because it wasn't too much dialogue and it didn't feel like it was too much on over-the-top action. It felt balanced to me compared to what I usually see.
Yeah, no, I agree with you with that. I think that their fight scenes did it really well, and that they got very clever with it. There were a lot of nods to actually different other DC films, like Man of Steel, There was a few nods to Justice League, Wonder Woman,
which I liked.
A few different sort of like fight scenes where you're just like, I remember where you got that from. So I thought they did it really well, and I think their animation really. I think this was the first time with their newer type of animation that it really flourished a lot more. Doomsday looked badass, like legitimately looked like a threat, which is something usually in previous versions he's kind of been a little corny. The TV show was a different situation, yeah. But I definitely think this one was well above and beyond the previous Death of Superman story that was told. That one they tried to rush several different arcs all in one story, and that was a little different. Like with the Death of Superman, the original version, or the one that came out, the animated one, you had Superman dying off in the first 10-15 minutes, and then they pushed the Reign of Superman story after that, whereas
they needed more time.
Yeah, and I think they did a really good job. Like you guys have already said, the only thing about this animated show, this feature, is it started to annoy me a lot, and the reason it annoyed me a lot is because I really wish that the live action films were just as good. Like because there are actually a lot of nods to BVS's storytelling and Justice League storytelling, but it irked me so much because this was done so much better. And if they just took their time to breathe a little bit more, you easily could have built up and had a successful Death of Superman story. In the original comics, the people that take out or first go up against Doomsday is the Detroit something. Is it like under Justice League?
Yes,
basically West Coast or something
it's
like
the
that.
West Coast League. So basically, just like with any other franchise, you have your main team, then you have kind of like your subgroups. So I don't like to say B leagues, but basically.
But it was like whack ass Justice League. Basically, nobody really cared about them. But the point is they basically replaced that group with this group, the current Justice League we know in the animated universe, and I thought that worked so much better in this particular story because it made basically people were like, oh shit, Doomsday just took out the entire Justice League and it's down to Superman. How that's going to play off later in the future, I don't know, but the reason I say it works so much better is because of the fact that we've already been actually introduced to these characters in previous animated films. Batman had a movie, Green Lantern had one.
Not just that, but even the
Cyborg.
the Justice League movie, Justice League War, and Atlantis with these characters.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. They're all in there.
Animation style also follows from Justice League War up until now, and that's something that I like. I'm not a big fan of the animation style changing so drastically with the same storyline, because then I feel taken out of it completely. So them keeping the same animation and the storyline basically streamlined from start till now. Thank you.
Okay, so across the board, we all enjoyed it then. There was any critiques on the film? Because I personally can't find much of any problems. I did feel like the voice acting for Lex Luthor. It kind of sucks because I
was a bit weird, but then at the same time it fit.
Right, it kind of worked.
He came off slimy.
And I'm so fucking used to Clancy Brown just being Lex Luthor, so it's so hard for me not to see him, especially when he's drawn almost the same way. That probably was about it. They even had some good Batman jokes in there.
I like the Batman. I like how they basically made fun of almost every character there in a light way. They teased each other. So outside of showing good teamwork, they were very humanized.
Yeah, and you actually mentioned during the movie was like even Aquaman looked badass. He didn't have to look like Jason Momoa and shit, but he just looked badass. Like
because there are iterations of some of these characters that you see from other artists. Not that they're bad, but style-wise, they come off being so thin and lanky looking, and it looks weird. And the only character that did that with in this one was Martian Manhunter, and it kind of fit. At first I was a bit thrown. I was like, but then he's a shapeshifter and things, and it fit later on in the storyline. The only thing that I would say that I kind of miss was the battle with Doomsday and Wonder Woman when she first shows up because you don't see it.
Yeah, that's true.
But at the same time, I'm actually happy
because
that they didn't show it.
Yeah.
Because it made the fight between her and Doomsday that more important.
Oh, totally. Totally.
So, at first I was thrown by it, but now I'm like, oh, actually that was a smart move.
I thought they did very well with that. Yeah, I think that pretty much worked. Callie, any favorite moment from the feature?
Favorite moments? I actually like how they handled the whole relationship issue with Lois and Wonder Woman because, you know, as fans, we all know the history, and they briefly summed it up so that you know what happened between him and Wonder Woman, and now let's move on to Lois Lane. And
that's a good point because
they kept it short.
Yes.
That is actually a good point because he
was a little heartbroken.
He was a little confused as to why Wonder Woman and or Lois and Clark actually have a relationship.
Right. So spoiler. Justice League War, Superman, Wonder Woman meet each other for the first time, and they kind of hook up and they start dating. And I liked it because it's different from the typical Superman and Lois Lane story, and it felt like a reimagining of it. Given they've done that many times, I just liked that it was something different and fresh. But this actually worked out too, so
I think it's
okay.
I think a death of Superman with Wonder Woman, it just wouldn't have carried the humanizing weight that you needed to basically, and that was, I think, like Callie was saying, I think the actual humanizing, and not even the humanizing, but making Superman relatable and making him just feel like you basically really understand why people give a shit about Superman and what it means to be Superman, to live in that world, you know, and they didn't overdo it. Like, you didn't see fucking Superman saving cats, puppies, and monkeys from, I don't know why monkeys, but monkeys from cars, burning cars and shit. You didn't see him, like, doing all that all the time. He does it a few times, but it wasn't like, here, in your face, see, no, look. He's a good guy, right? You should cheer for him.
They didn't.
No, it was done much better, and like without spoiling much of anything, in this particular relationship, Lois and Clark, they're dating, but Lois doesn't know Clark's secret, and that actually is a big burden on Clark or Kal-El's situation, is that he doesn't know whether or not she needs to know. And Lois can tell he's hiding something, but he doesn't know if he should tell her, and then he even starts to ask the rest of the members of the Justice League about that situation.
Yeah, and I thought that handling their relationships.
And I thought that worked out so well that, again, it pissed me off that we didn't see that in the live action. It's just, there were just little moments.
The animated Lois Lane more than
that too.
The live action.
She was much hotter. Much hotter.
Cat Grant, that's another character. And the reason I'm bringing that up because they changed how she looks and how they use that character, and when they do that in the animated series, I don't know what it is, they just always do a fantastic job with reimaginings of characters. So doing that in film, yes, is difficult, but it's doable.
It's doable.
So これからも頑張ってくださいね.
Whatever he said. All right, so
from here on out, dude, keep doing it.
Because they really understood that. Maybe we should say it in Korean. That's probably who's animating it. Maybe.
지금부터 더 잘. Wait, you're studying Korean?
Tarlock.
Yeah.
She's like, nope. She's gone. She's already gone.
Remember my hot friend?
All right, guys. So make sure you check it out. Death of Superman. Available on demand, digital, Blu-ray, internet, whatever. And make sure you tune in to the continuation, which is a part 2, as far as I know, called The Reign of Superman, which will be coming out and have information on that at a later time, okay?
Which will be awesome.
Till next time, guys, take care of yourselves and make sure you check out the rest of their channels as well, my Patreon, if you want the full reaction to this feature, and you can watch it along with us. It'll be pretty fun.
지금부터 화이팅!
Fighting!
Keep it super.
Keep it super.
Plus Ultra!